This is the fourth in a series of Black Souls videos. Check the description for a playlist of the others. This is an adult video game series, so viewer discretion is advised. Now, let's begin. After my high SEN playthrough, I was pretty confident that SEN is not at all what I initially thought it was. I wasn't really sure what it was, but it doesn't quite seem like sanity. Why do certain NPCs show up as demon beasts at low SEN? Why are some locations different based on my SEN? Why do some NPCs not seem affected by SEN at all, while some others make me question if I'm having a seizure? And who is Prickett? These are the questions I came into my low SEN run with. Also, because I messed up in my last run, I still have to get all the fairy tales. So with a lot of micromanagement, that was another one of my goals for this run. First step, set my SEN to 0. Ah yes, eyeballs. The Fullmetal Alchemist route. Right off the bat, Wonderland is very weird. The corpses the rabbits were supposed to be eating are completely gone, and the place is filled with roaches. The Cheshire cat is also missing. I did set my SEN back to 100 to speak with her because I apparently didn't have any more master keys. I set my SEN back to 0 and went to the bonfire and rabbit hole. I spoke to Verna while here, and turns out he's one of the few NPCs that also remains normal at low SEN. While here, I found another door that appeared from being at low SEN. This dropped me in the mental ward, but I was afraid this would screw up my progress like my initial high SEN run did and Homeward Boned Out. I then went and fought the first boss with his sword equipped. I, still didn't beat him my first try. I went back and upgraded all the weapons I could to maximum and then re-challenged him. As much as I'd like to say that I beat him my first try after upgrading the weapons, I did not. It took me quite a few attempts actually, but I did eventually beat him. My friend told me to keep my SEN high for the demon beast that comes out of the mirror at Lutwidge because he wanted to show me why he said I was literally blind last playthrough. Once the beast appeared, I took a step downwards, only for it to stop at the top step. It doesn't follow me. I activated the boss fight and... I killed Red Hood last run! What the fuck, game? I reloaded the game and set my SEN back to 0. I walked towards the mirror and instead of a demon beast coming out of it, as you can probably guess, a Red Hood appeared. Red Hood and Miranda are the only two companions I still have from the first game. I was hit with a wave of emotions from this and had to pause for a second. Apparently Red Hood has her own games that predates Black Souls and she travels around through mirrors in it, but that's about all I know about it. And that is also why there's random mirrors in Black Souls at times. Red Hood has been traveling around looking for the mastermind behind everything. She did ask if we wanted to team up with her, but we had to find Alice. It seemed as if she had more to say, but she cut herself off short and told us that that might be for the best. At this point, Furry Holmes interjected with a bunch of gibberish, and by the time I turned back around to speak with Redmore, she was already gone. Fuck that furry, and no, not in the way that Red Hood would. I went to give Holmes a piece of my mind, but he was still speaking in Slovene computer code. Afterwards, I went east in Lutwidge and past the kidnapper to get the little match girl fairy tale. I went further east, set my SEN to 100, and then spoke to Griffin Knight Griffy to do her questline for the first time. Following her advice, I got patches, and then I returned to her. She just left it off as an honest mistake, but really it's my fault for listening to a bird brain after already experiencing Dodo. She did give me a rare upgrade material, so I'm fine with this result. Leaving Griffy, I went to the Park of Fog, set my SEN back to 0, and then had to traverse the fog while avoiding a bunch of evil eyes. I wasn't successful at that, so I set my SEN back to 100, went through the fog that way, and then returned it back to 0. In Upper Lutwidge Town, I went to the ruined brothel, that is the building with a bonfire in it, to get the Boy Who Cried Wolf fairy tale. Then I went to activate the bonfire— Red, my beloved! You're back. She tells us not to worry because we're undead, so even if something terrible happens, we won't disappear. I don't know if she's trying to console us since we're in this horrible nightmare world or what, but I don't think she's doing a very good job at it. She finishes the conversation saying that there isn't anyone in this world you can have a normal conversation with, so maybe it's just better that they remain insane. And there's the answer to one of my questions, or at least a heavily suggested answer. SEN is a sanity indicator, but the values are reversed. There's been a couple of lines of dialogue from earlier in the game that suggest this too. Sane is just the flip side of insane after all. Only at low SEN are we finally perceiving Wonderland as it truly is, which means the demon beast forms of all my Covenant friends are their true forms, and is why making babies with them increase my SEN. It's why eating corpses increases my SEN. It's why killing certain NPCs like the corpse-eating rabbits decreases my SEN. And for the first time, things are starting to make sense. I spoke to Red Hood again. She seems oddly paranoid about being overheard by someone. She talks about the outside world, which I wasn't sure if she was referring to the real world, or their world outside of Wonderland, and then she asked Grim how long he's been here. The answer was obvious. Alice. Grim had a mental breakdown and assaulted Red Hood. Unfortunately, I did not have any other option I could choose here, almost as if I'm not really the one in control right now. I'll spare most of the details as it's hard for me to deal with the subject matter personally, but there are actually a couple of lore implications here. The game states that the self cannot be yourself anymore, and yourself returns, only for us, the player, to finally take back control of Grim. The player is not the only one inside of Grim's body. After asking what we have done, Red Hood says to ask the you inside our head and is thankful our sanity had returned as we would have killed her had we not taken back control when we did. She then follows it up saying that splitting up was the right call, as if we don't kill the mastermind behind everything quickly, we won't remain ourselves. Afterwards, I left for the mental ward. There was only one person in the lobby this time and I was let in immediately. OCD cured. I went through the mental ward as normal and got Dorothy's fairy tale before proceeding to the boss, who I killed, summoning help from the Iron Hans. Back at the library dream, I unlocked the library and killed Rascal to get his fairy tale as well. Back at London, I went to the bottom of the sewers to get the Wuhan. Red Hood and Verna were back at the bonfire here. There were some really weird noises in the background here too, so I made my visit with them both short. Red Hood simply wondered if Bodo would enjoy eating the bad soup here. I worked back to Upper Lutwidge Town, equipped Edith's ring, and triggered the Holmes boss fight. Only I forgot to set my SEN back to 100 before speaking to him, so I couldn't actually understand him. Truly, my intellect cannot be measured. It breaks the low end of the scale. Red Hood was outside Oxford's gates and feels nostalgic for university, which is weird because she's supposed to be 19, I thought, which means she only just started university this year. She also found this odd as she begins to question what she just said, making me wonder if someone else is forcing themselves into her brain like someone's doing to us. Heading past the university for now, I took the elevator downwards, only for it to do the one thing I feared the most ever since I was a kid. The elevator stopped halfway between floors and I was stuck. The lights went out, I cried for my mom, and weird ASMR noises started playing in the background. Luckily, everything went back to normal and I was able to get to the bottom floor shortly afterwards. While at Carroll River, I made my way to the bonfire, only to see another flame like I saw on the beach on my last run. I had no idea what this was talking about, so I had to Google it later and found out that this flame is giving us the preface poem of Alice in Wonderland verbatim. The only difference being the red orange text indicating that it is next time. Not that I know what that's suggesting. Also, it technically isn't verbatim as the last stanza replaces childhood with little girl. The poem also suggests that there are 3 little sisters, linking back to Holmes and Edith's memory that we saw in the first run of the game. Which reminds me, the static effect that occurs when you go to Edith's boss fight also happens during Happy Fun Times with the Queen of Heart Lorina. I had to Google it to confirm, but yes, Lorina is Alice's older sister, and both have glitch static effects when you interact with them. Though it does confuse me why Edith is a boss while Lorina is still in her human form. Not enough clues to go on for now, so let's continue on to the River Thames bonfire. I'm a bit slow. I just now put it together that you are replacing the Cheshire Cat, aren't you, Red? She brings up Linda Maya, the Black Trial member from the first game. He has apparently been hunting for me ever since. Come to think of it, I never actually fought him in Black Souls 1 because Miranda took him on for me during that one ending, and my SEN count was almost always at 0 on the other routes. Oh well, I'll deal with him when I deal with him. I went east and spoke to Verna. Then I summoned Petrash to fight the Beast of Conceit so I could get his fairy tale, and then went to fight Jabberwock. My friend told me to create a backup save and then fight her solo first. I was confused and then destroyed her in just a few turns. Then my friend told me to reload that save and fight her again, but actually lose this time. A demand I complied to. I got Momusud. It was hot. This is where I would make an immediate jump to the next scene as if that didn't just happen. But I have to point out how Jabberwock literally brings up Red Hood in this event. She refers to her as our dear Red Hood, which has Grim question who it is he's supposed to be searching for to begin with. Alice, right? Right? Also, she did mend her babies, but I'm not sure that there's enough fertile aid on the planet to reignite her literally dead womb. Afterwards, she says we don't need to do any more loops or look for Alice or need to serve the Great Ones anymore. Boy oh boy, it's finally time for the Lovecraft lore to start popping up. Too bad my Lovecraft knowledge was minimal during this period, and yes, I have rectified that. Kind of. Anyway, for some reason the Great One saw Grimm as a stud horse, which also explains the B-in from last video. Then Jabberwock mentions as long as she doesn't find out, Jabberwock can continue to train us. But then the bell tolled for her. I reloaded and went back to Oxford so I could stare at the moon through a telescope. Christmas music started to play, and then I think somebody mind-raped me. I'm not positive on that, but my SEN shot up as someone rolled a d20 for me and some more weird ASMR noises started playing. I was warped back to Oxford and went inside. In a hidden room, I found another flame, this one holding a memory of Lewis Carroll and Alice while he was a professor. Afterwards, I fought the Vagina Dentata so I could open the path to the Dean's office, where I summoned Catherine to get her fairy tale while I fought the boss there. Then, I went to the Endless Tea Party to fight Flash Gordon and Jub Jub. However, there was yet another flame memory here, where Lewis Carroll, or XXXXX as the game calls him, gets pulled into Wonderland. Yeah, I couldn't tell if these flames were supposed to be the memories of the real Lewis Carroll, since the last one mentioned him being transferred for suspected improper relations with Alice, but I couldn't find any evidence of that happening online for the time period. I didn't look very hard, so I could be wrong, but I think this game is creating a separate Lewis Carroll for the purpose of this game's narrative. And this game's Lewis Carroll is implied to be in Wonderland now, as the main character. Me. Grimm. Anyway, I set my SEN back to 100 and spoke to the Mad Hatter. My friend told me to kill her, so I saved and then did that. And then I did it again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and hey, I got a trophy! At the first boss of the Cloud Tower, I summoned Le Petit Prince to get his fairy tale, killed the boss, and then proceeded to Jub Jub. Turns out there are two summon sons here, Peter Pan and the Rabbit Knight Verna. You only get Peter Pan's fairy tale after this fight though. I went to the lava forest where Bandersnatch is and got John's fairy tale, and then killed a Tanuki to get his fairy tale too. Once again, Red Hood was here. She makes me question what kind of girl only wears a shawl and a bikini, must constantly be in a state of freezing hot or burning cold. After searching this area some more, I encountered the worst boss in Dark Souls 2 and then got the Claymore as a prize. Continuing on through the area, I found out that you can summon both Verna and Robin Hood for the best Covenant's boss fight, so I did that. I got Robin Hood's fairy tale and then warped back to Jabberwock's boss fight. I summoned Verna for her fight and proceeded to defeat her. It's cool that Verna can be summoned for each of the three main baddies, at least as No describes them. I wonder if there's any lore implications for that. Oh right, I had obtained the heroic Vorpal sword earlier from fighting the first boss of the game's other form, so I used it on her because it's what killed her in the original Jabberwocky poem. It killed her in one attack. I still hadn't gotten Verna's fairy tale from this though, so that kinda scared me, but heading back down the bridge to where Verna was originally, I found a note from him telling me he'd be waiting in Rabbit Hole for me. I went back to speak to him. Ah, Sir Grimm. After all, I returned back home. Was it the rashness of youth, or something else? I set out without much thought. My dream was such a tiny thing. However, meeting you was a big deal, Sir Grimm. I truly wanted to meet her. Was it selfish of me? Sir Grimm, was it enough to erase my father's sins? No, a sin is a sin. It shall never disappear. Please forget what I've said. Well then, I should get going. Please, save her. Save Alice. I'll always pray for your happiness. The Black Rabbit of Inaba was obtained. He was the Prayer Master's son? His entire journey was to make up for the sins of his father, the one that caused Black Souls 1 to happen. I love that. Oh, that's so good. Also, he gave me the Moonlight Greatsword, so that's pretty cool. Best boy, 10 out of 10. I went to the tavern in Lutwidge and killed that Star Wars Dragon Ball Z bug alien dude. The one that talks normal even at low SEN for reasons I still don't understand. On the Dogson Bridge, I summoned the Ugly Duckling for the boss fight and got his fairy tale afterwards. Past the bridge, I jumped down a well to kill a ram mermaid and got its fairy tale. Up north at the Cathedral, I met Red Hood, who was going through a crisis of faith. In the Queen of Hearts garden, I killed the guards and met up with Red Hood again. Not sure how she got through with the guards still there, but she finally gave me an update on Poro. He's in charge of housekeeping. Apparently the goodest boy feels lonely without me, so I need to spend some time giving him belly rubs next time I see him. At the Queen of Hearts castle, Red Hood tells me that the monarch is the heart of a kingdom, and once the heart goes mad, so too will its people. I wonder if that means Lorina has something to do with why Wonderland is so messed up. I won't allow her to hog the teacher to herself. I'll get him to care about me, even if I have to offer my soul to an evil god. Well, damn, she's just like the prayer master. She caused this, didn't she? In the interior garden of the Queen of Hearts castle, there was another flame memory. This one was short. A little girl giving thanks to her teacher for his wonderful stories and asking if she could give him anything in return. He simply said, "I just wish for you to remain a charming young lady forever." I summoned the Donkey King for the next fight and got his fairy tale once it was over. I covenanted Lorina for now and then proceeded to my next destination, the cathedral. I opened up the cathedral's giant gaping hole and went inside it to find Griffy speaking to Bill. Apparently Bill was a follower of Lorina at one point, but has now chosen to forsake her. Back at the garden outside of Lorina's castle, there was an empty area I could never figure out what to do in. Well, now Griffy is being assaulted by a dog here. That's Red's thing, so I stepped in to help her out. She kisses me and then leaves. Inside of Lorina's castle, Griffy is now outside of Lorina's room and tells us Alice escaped her execution and was seen fleeing towards the city. I mean, are we still keeping up with the I'm going to Alice plot point at this stage of the game? Griffy also expresses sorrow for the 3 knights I killed earlier by stating how happy she is that she'll get a pay raise now, and then wonders whose place she should go and splurge it at. As I was leaving the castle, I stopped by the board at the entrance where it says a survivor of the corpse eaters has been sighted at the Beach of Grief. The one to eradicate it will be allowed to pick a reward. Griffy suddenly jumps in on me and plays charades. She then tells me that there used to be a lot of corpse eaters in Wonderland, but then Lorina had been using her knights to execute them all. She then tells me to wait for her at the Beach of Grief so we can hunt it down together. With my next destination chosen for me, I went back to the fish market, but before proceeding to the beach, I fought that sly monkey from 2 videos ago, chasing it multiple times until it got crabs. After the boss fight, I got its fairy tale. I then went to the real boss fight of the fish market and summoned Sinbad to get his fairy tale. I set my sand to 0 and then spoke to Red Hood. She hates sand. Or the ocean, I guess. I grabbed the flame memory here as well. Lewis Carroll received a letter from Alice inviting him to a party. However, when Carroll went, he couldn't find Alice. Instead, an old woman greeted him, claiming to be the little girl. Carroll fled back to his house. There's no way his Alice could grow so old after all. He prayed to God that he could go back to the days when she was just a little girl who pestered him for stories. And his prayers were answered. Not by God, but by Leaf. And that is how Lewis Carroll ended up inside of Grimm. I went to the beach towards where Miranda spawns in. I killed the cannibal here, but I guess that wasn't supposed to be the corpse eater Griffy was talking about. I set my sin to 100 and went back inside Miranda's cave. Yeah, I don't want to kill Miranda. I proceeded to the fight and defeated her anyway to see what would happen, but I did make a save beforehand just in case. Luckily, Griffy doesn't demand her head and instead decides to just report back to Lorina that the mission has been accomplished. After that, I went to Mock Turtle's restaurant where she proceeded to Bochi the Rock me until I came back with Griffy. So I left and immediately went back inside as Griffy had apparently no clip through the wall as I was leaving. I like these two's dynamic. They're fun. I left them and went to the Pond of Bloody Tears. I got to the bonfire and set my sand back to 0 so I could speak to Red Hood here. Unfortunately, Red Hood was not here for some reason, which makes literally no sense as this is the bonfire before her mother, but oh well. I went to the Mushroom Village in the Mushroom Forest, past the pond, where I found Red Hood again. Apparently, Red Hood had been here before. I'm guessing she's making a reference to her game, but it's gone completely over my head. I then killed the boss here because why not, and then went toward the Duchess's house. I summoned Knight in Armor to the fight for his fairy tale just before the Duchess's mansion and then spoke to Red Hood at the bonfire in the mansion. Then I spoke with the Duchess and got her train ticket to Queensland. With that, I can finally go and say hello to the bitch. Except by the time I got there, Red Hood had already started the fight with her. We double team her mother and the fight ends up with a 3rd phase. So fucking cool. I love it when games add different variations of things based off of how you play the game. She and Red share a few words and then the fight continues. After the fight, Elizabeth returns to her normal form. She then asked Red Hood if she was wanting her to say that the reason she harbored such resentment towards her was because of Mary Sue's alterations during the last game. Red Hood said things wouldn't be so convenient, but she did look into a lot of things and about their births, their lineages, etc., and found a lot of contradictions. Elizabeth cuts Red short though, saying she was vaguely aware that someone was manipulating her very soul, but she didn't care. She reveled in the depths of hatred that were forced upon her, and with that, she left the stage. I obtained the photo of Elizabeth Bathory. Through the mirror, I traveled through some woods, fought a boss to get its fairy tale, and then made it to train station Hanover. I did speak to Victoria, but didn't have a sex battle with her this time. Instead, I disabled each scene to the library dream, went back to Victoria, and then held hands with her. Then I died. At Queensland, I set my SEN back to 100 and spoke to Griffy here. She was captivated by Prickett's concert and became her fangirl. Just, don't tell her what me and the idol have been doing in our other playthroughs, or else one of us may end up dead. Griffy then requested I make love to her, because talking about idols is the sexiest thing a man can do with a woman. With that, Griffy heads back towards Lorina. I sent my SEN back to 0 and proceeded to get bodied by one of Prickett's chess pieces. Technically there were 4 of them, but it was a rook that kicked my ass. So I set my SEN back to 100 to avoid the fight and then went inside the castle. I'm a pansy, don't at me. I set my SEN back to 0 and found a new flame memory inside one of the tins here. This flame was, I think, about Alice growing up, marrying a false love that reminded her of her first love and forgetting how to dream. Lamenting her dull life, she longed for the days of adventure she had when she was younger. And yet a new story was brewing once again. After this, I opened up a chest and had the ever-living shit scared out of me. I went to the other tent and fought Xi Jinping to get his fairy tale, The Great Leap Forward. With that, I went back to Prickett's room with her ring equipped. I have no idea if it's the ring or the 0 SEN, but for some reason, Prickett looked like Alice for a second and then changed back during yet another glitch segment. Something I only noticed while watching my footage back is that the portrait of this Alice was also different from the portrait of the 3 Alices you can choose at the beginning of the game as well. Surely there is no deeper meaning behind this and I'm just having a schizo moment. Anyway, now that I've fixed my mistake from the last run, i.e. having Prickett's ring equipped, I decided to take her on a date to the Haunted Mansion again to trigger that one scene from the last run. Alice reappeared and another schizo moment occurred, but after taking my med she disappeared and Prickett came back, saying the same thing that she did last time. I was expecting something a bit more, but it was still interesting. I still wasn't sure how to interpret this, but assumed that Lovecraftian Alice must be stalking me, which is not completely incorrect, but somehow I didn't make the other obvious connection that the game was hinting at. Regardless, I went one room over to summon Daddy Longlegs for the boss fight there and got his fairy tale. After, rescuing Leaf and grabbing her ring, my friend told me not to kill her, so against my better judgment, I did not. I'm not actually sure if killing her here matters or not, but better safe than sorry. Back at Carroll River, I set my SEN to 100 so I could get Humpty Dumpty to birth my child again. Then I did the most fucked up thing in all of my Black Souls ventures. I killed my daughter. Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration as I killed my other daughter in the last game. And all my other companions as well. Really wish the developer would stop making me do this to people I like. Anyway, I got the goose that laid the golden egg fairy tale and then went to the Duchess's mansion to get to the infinite food. At the final boss of this dungeon, I summoned Hansel and Gretel to get their fairy tale. I then warped to the library dream to place all the fairy tales I had. I was still missing Bluebeard, the musicians of Bremen, and Pinocchio. I decided to go to the slaughterhouse first as I hadn't been there yet this playthrough. Red was here to tell me about the wonderful world of imagination. Also that kids dying is depressing. I decided not to tell her what I did to my own kid. Instead, I went into a new door that appeared at 0 SEN, but there was nothing inside. But then I set my SEN to 100 and suddenly found a corpse with a ring that turns you into the squishiest of glass cannons. At the boss fog, I summoned the musicians of Bremen and killed the boss to get their fairy tale. Next, I went back to the Pond of Bloody Tears to fight Bluebeard in the dungeon there and got his fairy tale. Before going to my final destination, I went back to the Queen of Hearts castle to see what Griffy and the Queen were up to and— Griffy, what the fuck?! So yeah, Lorina's dead, and Griffy was apparently going to run away with our beloved wife Mock Turtle, but suddenly was overcome with guilt. After begging us to kill her, I refused and told her to go back to Mock the Rock and had a threesome with him. Oh, also, Griffy mentioned she was aware of the outside world, which is kind of confusing to me, but then again, I guess all the important NPCs are implied to be eldritch abominations or something, so I guess that shouldn't be too surprising. Also, it was apparently Prickett's song that caused Griffy to go murder hobo on everyone at the Queen of Hearts castle. But then she followed it up by saying that it wasn't her song's fault per se. She was just moved and decided to do that of her own volition. I'm now afraid of ever having fangirls. I set my SEN to 0 and went under the sea to get the final fairy tale. However, en route, I found something familiar. Please don't make me relive this. Our lives are fleeting, brittle. In the end, we're nothing more than consumable goods. We're born alone and vanish, and then we're born alone and vanish again. All for selfish pleasure. How many times do I need to be betrayed by my pupils? Mind-breaking. Tears won't stop. I didn't betray you. Of course. You're a splendid apprentice. Streaming tears, dripping blood. All must have been just my imagination. Cold. Hey, it's cold. Alma. Freezing. Want with Grim. Hug. Salvation isn't death. Cold. 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 Father. Mother. Having some kids, that was my dream. And yet, you so quickly betrayed me. Please forgive me. I cannot want to kill you, can I? I cannot be thankful, can I? I already forgave. There was a mission. Please say that. This is a punishment. For me, for disobeying God. No. For us. Where are you going? Do you not love me? There's someone else to love. And so, you killed. I have no memories of killing them. This is wrong. My memory has been replaced. And yet, they still deeply stain my memories. Droplets of blood scattered across beautiful fleshed female skin. Echoes of piercing screams. One woman beaten to death. Another woman stabbed to death. Another woman raped and murdered. All in a cruel manner, horrible enough for God to sneer. Don't forget your elder sister. The swarm of black souls whispers to me. You are the evil one. Wrong. It is us who did it. Staining our souls black in this manner is what we agreed upon and wanted. However, they care not for my words. Under torture and sins, they've already gone mad. The writers cannot write any more stories. Like shimmering waves, all emotions mix and disappear. Mix and disappear. Mix and disappear. And explode. What's wrong? You're sweating a lot. Hold still. Let me wipe it for you. I killed my companions here. Grim. This is a hallucination. Their deaths aren't your fault. Let's look for a way to restore them to life once we're back in reality. How about that? The fairy tales they originate from must still remain there. The chance may be low, but I'm sure there's something we can do. Hold on to your hope. Thank you, Red. This hotel, I'm glad it's closed. Its rules were in bad taste. You were wise to have never used it. I'm a bit confused. It's like everything from the first game happened and didn't happen simultaneously. I also wasn't expecting Red to be the one to try and cheer somebody up, but glad she's here. Definitely best girl at this moment. After not using the hotel with Red, I proceeded deeper into the depths of the sea to summon Pinocchio for the boss fight there, and then got the final fairy tale as a result. Before heading back to the library dream, I was told to go to Lutwidge by my friend. Wandering the streets of this lovely town, I found Red Hood cheating on Poto. I wasn't going to let her do Poto dirty like that, so I killed the wolf and Red shyly kissed me. It was cute. Then she fucked me. That was less cute. Mostly because she shows no emotions, or at least I thought. She actually did beg Grimm for proof that she lived, a baby, so that she can believe that her life wasn't meaningless. Grimm, what do you think about me? Red, you don't need to worry. For a long time now, you've always... I see. You cannot see her expression, but in her voice you feel loneliness, and at the same time, delight. I set the last book in the library dream. Note greeted me for doing so and asked if I would like anything as a reward, so I took her ring. I was very tempted to see her in a swimsuit. She had even mentioned earlier that she wanted to show it off to me, but like, rings, man. I need rings, all of them, and multiple copies too. Rings are better than any lewd. Alright, time to end this run. The child's room at the end of the game was different at SEN. There's blood and knives and destroyed stuffed animals everywhere. Passing through the boss fog, I finally fought the final boss once again. And once again, I killed her. Then, when reunited with my long-lost little sister, I tried killing her again. However, unlike last time, she had an attitude with me. Even shit-talked my poetry. Cue the Christmas music, it's time for the real final boss fight. Yeah, I killed her before she could act. But it does confirm that Alice has been stalking me as I suspected earlier. End. But not the end of the video. Because while this is technically the end of the SEN route, I unlocked a new route by completing it the way I did. I started a new cycle, but I did not skip the tutorial. Instead, I chose to watch it again, but when it asked me for which Alice I wanted, I backed out of the dialogue option. A new option appeared before me. Alice Little. I noticed it. This wonderful world is fake. I woke up in a little girl's nightmare. It reminded me a lot of the birth end from the last run, but this time, I'm actually doing an entirely new route. There's demon beasts wandering all around here though. Well, luckily I can just run past them. But then my friend told me I should at least try to fight one of them for a special scene. So I did. Caterpillar Shisha appeared. I hate to be alone. Please don't go. I'll be lonely. Care for me more. Oh, fuck off. I have to kill all of my Covenant friends again? That being said, it's not as bad as in the original game. All of my Covenants in this game were demon beasts to begin with, only using me for their selfish purposes. Shisha was a two-faced boss, which was cool. Kind of easy though at my levels. The BGM was pretty cool too. Too bad I ended her about 5 seconds into it. I ran back to the beginning of the area to restart my adventures through it. The demon beast at the beginning had a heart icon show above its head when it spotted me. Oh, for the love of all things holy. Lizard Bill appeared. Dear God, I have one wish. If I'm to be born again, please make me a girl. Please grant him his wish. Alright, moving on. Foolish Bird Dodo appeared. We are truly wise. There's nothing we do not know. Therefore, recognize it. We are here. Someone. Notice. Do not worry, I know where the rest of your species is. I'll send you there right now. Dormouse the Sleeping Rat appeared. No wonder I couldn't keep on sleeping. This is a dream after all. If sleeping's what you want, then I can give you the eternal sleep. Also, why didn't the other two speak to me? Oh well. Duchess Margaret von Tyrol appeared? Tyrol? Tyrol? Tylenol? Whatever. Oh my. Are you my mill? I fed her lead, but that's apparently toxic and she died. Tweedledee and Tweedledum appeared. We are no waxworks. We've always been good to each other. Do not split us apart. Wait, so did we NTR Cthulhu during the High SEN run? Sweet. Griffy the Griffin appeared. Not earning any honor, bound to others, living only to die. I cannot bear this. I mean, you could always, I don't know, not fight me. Would do wonders for your life expectancy. Mock Turtle appeared. Everyone Everyone hates me. The whole world is trying to kill me. I don't want to die. You're just like Griffy. Your actions are the exact opposite of what your words are. Though while the game did imply that the two of them had a thing going between each other, their secondary comments in battle implied that they were ready to ditch each other and elope with me. But I only have one woman on my mind, and her name is Redless Hoodle. Queen of the Heart Lorina appeared. Wait, what? She's an actual demon beast? I mean, Edith was a demon beast too, wasn't she? Why is it only Alice you favor? Send a book to me too. Yeah, I thought she was supposed to be this game's version of the human Lorina, but I don't know now. Maybe praying to outer gods wasn't the best idea for her. Still not sure how Edith ended up here as she did though. Lorina seems really attached to Grimm, or Carol or whatever. Deep sea predator Walrus appeared. I'm hero to face off sheep. Comrade, you must not escape from dream. Your brain needs to be replaced. Sorry, no communism allowed on this channel. Alright, finally, I found a bonfire and Node! My love, you're actually not a demon beast. I'm so happy I found somebody I can actually trust. Will you oppose me? My position is that of your support. Even now, that hasn't changed. Love you, Node. Best girl that isn't a human. The time has come. Wonderland is losing its form and beginning to collapse in on itself. It seems you are about to awaken from that dream. The collapse is proof of it. Mary Sue's unmatched masterpiece, an amalgamation of this world's creators. That's what you are, Lord Grimm. A body that far surpasses humanity, with the blood and qualities fitting to be a great one's husband. Okay, hold on. I'm flattered, but Jesse, what the hell are you talking about? The crawling one made a proposition to me, a plan to produce offspring of great ones. With this land as its stage, you are locked in an endless cycle of copulation with them. You mean sex had a purpose? Children born of your union would unite with you once more to produce even more children. It was all quite like an ever-turning gear. Even I bore too many to count. Oh, awesome, the daddy ending. Let's stop there, make that canon, and go no further. Lord Grimm, I will not stand in the way of your awakening, but the crawling one won't accept this. I would ask who that is, but I think I know. You were its aim from the very beginning. What it wants is an eternally repeating love story that will never come true. Its emotions, behavior, mentality are beyond that of my comprehension. However, for you to be made its toy, that is most disagreeable for me. Oh, you're precious, Node. Thank you. Even if I have been making tiny abominations of nature with you against my will. My beloved Lord Grimm, everything is only a transient dream. The envoy of reality is bound to rescue you. You mean Red? For everything you've done until now, I'm truly grateful. No. I'm grateful to you, Node. You gave me levels, increased my SEN, even if that did the opposite of what I had in mind. Also, you sold me pocket watches, and those are sexy. Ah, she kissed me, guys! I mean, we've kissed a lot, but this kiss was a kiss with meaning. Wait, what the? This is the library dream? I can even still upgrade my weapons at this disemboweled teddy bear. Well, I think I already have all the equipment I need, so I leveled up to max and moved on. In the next room, I was ambushed by the big three, Jub, Bandersnatch, and Jabberwock. I tried talking them down, but failed at negotiations. They only had fighting on the mind, which reminds me of one of my old Ah, there she is! She told me to leave this to her, but I wasn't about to run by like in Black Souls 1. This time, we fight together. Surprisingly, another joined in on our side as well, the Black Conductor Hein. Unsatisfied with this never-ending dream, he's decided to join us on a 3 vs 3 battle to make it back to reality. Of course, had I not just leveled up to level 999, this may have been a challenging fight. I killed all 3 of them in 2 turns. Bandy-chan and Jub begged for an end to the fight, claiming they only wanted to test our resolve, but Jabberwock had a very different goal in mind. She chastised them before destroying their souls. Jabberwock herself is revealed to be on par with the Great One, though she has no desire for such lavish dreams of ruling worlds. She simply wishes to watch how black her souls can become. I think that's a weird motivation to be evil, but I guess some answers just can't be questioned or something. Like, I get that we're trying to make the game's title make sense, but it was originally just meant to be a reference to Dark Souls, no? Well, whatever. It's not like I hate this kind of thing. Anyway, I'm not quite sure if I understood, but I think Jabberwock is saying that she gave Leaf a fairy tale which sparked the desire of creation in her. It's what caused Leaf to trap our soul in her lost empire, to create a dark world with no salvation. Jabberwock wanted to see how creative a great one could be. If they could be creators just as us humans are, making our own stories, and the one who groomed Leaf into a perfect black soul was Jabberwock. So she can take credit for being the creator of a creator. So, if true, then Jabberwock is responsible for Leaf, who was responsible for killing all my companions in the first game. So I think it's fair that I punch her in the stomach too, right? Surprisingly, Jabberwock lasted a lot longer than I was expecting. Still wasn't too hard, though Hein did get killed in this fight. Jabberwock accepts death more readily than I was expecting, her only regret being that she wouldn't be able to watch the struggle to reach the end. Miranda, of all people, tells her before she dies that maybe things would have gone different if she actually learned to love another. Jabberwock fails to understand what Miranda is saying, and laughs it off as she dies. Unfortunately, she wasn't the only one who suffered a major wound. Hein suffered a fatal blow in this fight. We share some final words, and Miranda decides to stay by his side while we venture on to end this nightmare alone. Or at least I would say that, but my friend convinced me to do something evil. Something I really did not want to do. I mean, I've already killed all my other companions at this point, so why not just add one more sin to this pile? I went back to Node and I fought her. I was planning on letting her live, but my friend mentioned that she dropped some lore if you defeat her, and this is literally the only chance you have to fight her in the entire game. So if you want to be a completionist, you have to kill her here. And the gamer in me is willing to commit war crimes no problem, it seems. I'm sorry, Node. Definitely one of the best girls in this game. I wouldn't do this if I hadn't been told that there was lore after I fight her. And now we get to see what it is. As great ones, they were born as perfect beings, with no need or desire to study or grow. But observing humans changed her. The dedication to improve, to have a goal to strive for. It inspired her, and she fell in love. Lord Grimm, sitting on a throne, is a terribly boring thing. Node fades away. I was expecting more to this, but I guess it does explain why Node has been by her side this whole time. We were the object of her affection. Running past where I fought the trio from earlier, I immediately encounter Red, who asked where the white rabbit went. Oops. Wait, hold on, would this encounter be different if Node were alive? Well, I reloaded my save before killing Node, and no, the cutscene's still the same. I re-reloaded my post-Node death scene and continued on. After achieving post-Node clarity, I should have stuck with the Node not dying save, but I committed to my initial actions. I also probably should have replayed this entire section just to see if something had changed, but alas, I did not. Anyway, Red is surprised that Grimm was called here, and then immediately we get interrupted by another interloper, Leaf, or Marianne or whatever. She and Red get into a catfight and have to choose which one to help. I would never in a million years actually ever choose to help Leaf, for any reason other than getting all the endings. For now though, I sided with Red. When questioned why I let her out of the jail cell, I revealed it was all part of my greater plan to, kill her now, I guess. Anyway, I gave her my best Skyrim impression, and with that, we were no longer a couple. I wasn't aware that we even still were. But that's fine. Time to die, Leaf! After beating her, Red informs her we have places to go, which causes Leaf to go Menhira again. Laughing maniacally, she informs us that we have no happy ending waiting for us. Back at the Lost Empires with her powers as Mary Sue, she wrote that Grimm's fate was always to be a tragic hero. He'll never be able to keep those that he cares about alive. And Red? She is destined to die at the age of 20, in less than a year. I punch Leaf in the face. Moving onward, we try to console Red, but she told us she already knew of her fate. End of our predisposition. She was too afraid to let us know, but that's why she's become so desperate while we met up so many times in Wonderland. Why she sought to prove her existence. We are defined by those that we touch, the connections we make. Well, let's go, shall we? I finally got back to the prologue area of the game, where Alice awaited me under a tree. Not daughter Alice, not Emoto Alice, and not mother Alice. Just Alice. I'm deeply grateful for your hard work. You've gone through so many terrible experiences, haven't you? And yet, no despair could break your spirit, and overcoming it all, you've arrived here. That proves the strength of your soul, and more than anything, the power of love. Love is by no means something that easily expires. The deeper you thought about me, the deeper your love grew, until it turned into a mad pursuit you couldn't deny yourself. And yet, you wouldn't continue to feed a caught fish, and every drunk rush comes to a sobering end. Once obtained, love loses nearly all of its value. Even separated from each other, united in mind until death do us part. That is what I wanted to see, the crystallization of such love. Here, the animals laugh in joy and flowers sing lovely songs. It's the land of our dreams, the Wonderland. Paradise I presenting to the one I love the most, to you. Here, you can dream as many dreams as you want. Here, you can enjoy as much love as you wish. There's no need to suffer anymore. My dear, my beloved, my Grimm. Please, let us dream for all of eternity with your love. I decided to make love with Alice. Yeah, I thought this was meant to be a metaphor for having a battle with her, but apparently her idea of love and mine are two wildly different things. Like, I expected her to transform into Prickett or something and initiate the true final battle. Seriously, where the fuck is Prickett here? She was always going on about love as well, and then you have 2 scenes of Alice with her. I figured she must be like evil Alice or something, but no. I'm actually fucking Alice. The real Alice from Black Souls 1. The one that Prayer Master made a wish to separate us and invited Leaf into our tea party as a result. The one that saved us from Mary Sue's story. And the one that led us to Wonderland. Alice proliferates through our thoughts, our mind, and our soul. Until the dialogue looped back around. I got confused, but then remembered that this game sometimes lets you back out of dialogue options, so I did that. And instead, I decided to kill Alice. Her face fell off. Not only that, but whatever foreign entity that's in our body tries to continue loving Alice while we know we need to leave. We can't escape. This will be our grave. Oh, thank goodness. I was wondering where she was. Like, was Red just watching Alice and I make love? And hey, Red finally upheld her promise of not dying until she cuts off the mastermind's head. Except that's not enough to kill the Eldritch Demon. A young human girl doesn't stand a chance against such an entity by herself, which is why... Poto, come! Red Hood! Aye, just now. Wait, you can fucking speak? Since when? Never mind, questions for later. After patting Poto on the head, the 3 of us initiate the final battle. This certainly is a boss sprite, and still dies pretty easily. Diaper face too. Wait, this BGM has lyrics? Also, she does kill me, but I have a spell that lets me survive dying, so I'm still in the game. That said, I do want to point out that I'm max level, and she was able to technically make my HP reach 0 despite that. Twice, in fact. But at last, I was able to bring this story to an end. But a boulder separates us from Poto and Red Hood. Despite trying our best, we can't reach them. Instead, they end up fighting the 3 Alices, as Red tells us to have faith in her and to go on ahead and run away for now. As we leave Wonderland, we end up in a white void, the only other thing in here with us being Alice Little herself. But this one isn't the outer god we just fought. This is the real Alice Little. And the Lewis Carroll within our bodies splits from us to be with her. He comforts her and takes her back home. Grimm, however, has his own home to return to. And so we wake up in a bed of a small house and leave. And when we do... Red! You made it! I'm so glad you... What's wrong with your arm? It looks weird. Oh shit, you lost it. Well, I play God of War Shodo, so that doesn't bother me at all. Here, let's enjoy the rest of our days together. With a teary smile, Red tells us, Grimm, everything is finally over. G end. Damn, that was a good game. I finally understand why people seem so fanatical about it. That said, there's still one more thing I need to do. Remember what I said earlier? Well, it's time to side with Leaf, or Marianne, or whatever. I'm sorry, Red, I would never actually choose this route in real life, but I need to unlock that other end. So, time for betrayal. This might be the hardest fight in the game. Not in terms of her being strong, but because of the sadness in her voice at our betrayal. I don't have the heart to read it. Anyway, I spoke to Leaf and found out that her mother apparently decided that the crawling one, that being the Eldritch Alice's, would be her new husband. Leaf didn't like it though, as she felt like it was some kind of entity who would just sit in a corner staring at ants, never interfering with them. It had a weird obsession with humans, but only ever showed its black face, no not the racist kind, to the Great Ones. To top it all off, the crawling one stole her great work! The nerve. I teamed up with Leaf and we had a battle with the little girl Alice instead of the crawling ones that you fight with Red and Poto. Little girl Alice was incredibly easy, almost like she wanted to lose. A 4-year time skip later reveals that Grim and Leaf have been very productive every day, not one of them noticing the crawling ones observing them from above. F end. Back at the library dream, there was one more thing I need to do in the base game. Down in the jail cells, the Cheshire cat is here. Talking to her reveals that she was once saved by Node and felt a debt of gratitude to her. As such, she chose to play the role of the beast that tears Grim and the fake Alice apart. She wasn't fond of the role, but it was the one Node needed her to fill. She does suggest that at least some people's memories do actually reset every loop, including her own, but we know the crawling one and Node at the very least remember everything. At the finale of her dialogue, she demands we end things with her once and for all, with one final action. So I show her a picture of Alice. Then I fucked her. The entire time she talks about Lovecraftian horrors, how they're merely pretending to be human without actually understanding the purpose of humanly things, making it really hard for Grim to concentrate. Personally, I prefer it this way and would rather just have a normal conversation without the sex, but I'm not the only personality in Grim, so I get overruled. After that, I have her surface me, which basically has the same result, only this time she tells me something interesting. If you're hoping for another conclusion, look for a little boat at Carroll River. And with that, I've finally beaten the game. The base game anyway. Next up is the DLC, which I hope finally answers the only one question I have left. Who the fuck is Prickett? Thank you for watching this video. I wasn't sure if I wanted to split it into two or not, as the entire G and FN could be their own separate video. But since they pretty much are directly a result of the low SEN playthrough, I decided to combine them with this video. I very much enjoyed this part of the game, much more than the first 2 playthroughs and Black Souls 1. It was this run that made me realize that this series truly had something to offer. But when I mentioned that to my friends, they told me that now that I've cleared the base game, I can finally start the real game, and told me to start training in the Chaos Dungeon. So, that's where we'll pick up for my next video. Look forward to it.